So I have another question for you, Blue, for our listeners who are following our sexual health and wellness series. In the past, we've talked about these unwanted pregnancies and this epidemic that seems to be surrounding our community with women who know they enjoy sexual activity and men who know they enjoy sexual activity, but the result of that engagement can sometimes be an unwanted pregnancy. So, from the health and wellness standpoint, whose responsibility is it when it comes to safe sex?
Well, that's a lot of definition. So the first thing I think that should be established is what is safe sex? Because you're talking about safe sex, you're talking about unwanted pregnancy, which is like, is there such a thing? Honestly,
Well,
in
yeah, in the mainstream there is such a thing.
in cases of forced against your will, in cases of divine conception. Other than that, I don't see how it's an unwanted pregnancy because you committed the act. Okay, and that sounds criminal. So let me retract that. You engaged with each other, got together. As long as the history goes back, we don't see that process now. Even though we, and the great Robin Harris used to say, "Test tube baby," we got that kind of thing going on, and oh, they got the clones and the aliens that don't talk about black people are around and doing stuff. But sex hasn't changed. Sexuality, sexual engagement, in its various forms and styles, has not changed. There's nothing new under the sun. So, after a certain point, and it's not forced or divine conception, uh, what do you mean unwanted?
Unwanted in when you engage, you're not engaging because you
Procreation may
want to
not be
do
on your mind,
procreate.
but you know it's a possibility.
Yeah. So whose responsibility is it when you know, okay, we're going to be together. There's a possibility that this coming together can produce another life. So whose responsibility is that? The Mars responsibility, or is it Venus'
How many people
responsibility?
driving? Or better yet, how many people ride in the car?
It depends. I guess two if it's just
Well, then
if that's
that's
what you're
who's
engaging in.
responsible. If
So
all
you're
four
saying
of y'all,
both.
if it's four of y'all in the car, and the passenger wind up with an unwanted pregnancy,
Mhm.
all four of y'all are responsible, and it's not unwanted.
Mhm.
If it's two, it's two. I just use that analogy because it's like, look, stop playing with life. That's one of the important facets of your sexual health and wellness because there are natural ways other than putting your testicles into a cup of hot water, like boiling, not boiling water, boiling in water, all the men looking at that, visualizing that in their head. It's just hot water, very hot water, which just kills your sperm. But there's other less offensive ways to eliminate the risk of procreation,
Mhm.
but those things have to do with not only discipline but maturity. And therefore, that's why we have to stop with the I'm not going to talk to my children about their sexuality. I'm going to let the school do it. I'm going to let my pastor do it. I'm going to let X, Y, and Z do it. or for the children that don't have parents around, or the grandparent who's like, well, in my day we didn't talk about that, but you got a grandchild that's living in this day, so you need to talk to them. We need to get over this notion. Again, you got two different, usually, polarities going on:
Right.
procreation and pleasure. And funnily enough, what's the odds that more people that get into engagement with a partner looking for procreation wind up not conceiving, and people seeking pleasure wind up conceiving? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a little bit of twist with that on an energetic level, depending on who you are and what's going on. Don't want to go into that now. What I'll say is, if we're truly asking who's responsible if the woman gets pregnant and the man and woman are having sex, there's a gazillion men now. There's not really such a word, but there there's a whole lot of men now, especially in our community, is going to say it's the woman's fault. She knows her role and her responsibilities once she's this age, even if she wasn't instructed, blah, 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 blah. And then there's the whole other facet where women will say, that sorry so and so, he knows he shouldn't have made that woman pregnant. He knows he's already got two kids he ain't taking care of. He don't need to be popping them out. Which kind of, again, if we kind of look at it, the ones that don't have any, and then it's the ones that, who haven't you had a baby by this week? You know, and we laugh, but that's the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually there's not enough resources to take care of all of that. So both parties are responsible, and both parties should have to care for that child. Most brothers don't like the way the child support system is set up. Most men in America don't like the way it was set up. So, hey, let's just make me a judge and I say, okay, that's what the state say child support rate should be, but you're only gonna pay half of that. And you'd be like, yeah, I got off, I got a break. It's like, oh no, he gonna be taking care of this baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think mama's gonna sit around and watch baby all the time, absolutely not. Nope. And if you don't want to do that, that's cool, because there's a truck with some overalls waiting on you right on the side door. That's where my courtroom goes. Because we don't have time for these games of people coming in playing with life. You both are responsible, and you both are gonna be responsible. You don't want to be responsible, that's fine. There's different motivators for everything. People say these things are harsh, but the reality is, especially in our community, Dr. Wilson talked about it. You shouldn't be having any babies. I mean, at this point, you can, hey, wait till you're 30. Okay? What I'm going to do up till I'm 30? Even when my hormones raging, I'm just 17 years old. Work it out until people come together and create an environment in which you can get some positive sexual engagement without going through all these different dramas and creating these so-called unwanted pregnancies. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. And I know people feel like, oh, you worse than the worst, conservative, blah, 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 for saying that. The bottom line is you're supposed to be respecting life. There was a time in our community, what we were told is that we don't kill our babies. Period. If it's hard, do it hard. That's the best birth control you can have.
Right.
And that 2-year-old screaming, you're like, not again. Not again. Same thing with the pop. When you got to go pick them up, you're like, not again. I was trying to go to the club. Yeah, ain't no clubbing for you, pop. You got things to do. That's how it is. And when we get away from allowing this irresponsibility, that won't be a question. But now everybody wants their perks. okay? And we fall trapped into a system that keeps us in this vicious cycle that we continue to do. And how do you think those children are going to turn out? More than likely having issues. So we can't play that game. Men need to be aware, especially young men, especially enterprising, aspiring, go getter, alpha type young men. You need to be aware that there are women that will try to make this opportunity of pregnancy into a noose around your neck. That's just the best way to put it. Sorry, you're playing a game and you got caught in the trap. Okay? Women, especially younger ones, with your wonderful, vivacious bodies and, you know, just flaunting your goods and looking so good, that there are young men and old men that really would enjoy a physical encounter with you. And in their, what can I say? And their conniving thoughts, what they believe is if they get you pregnant, they will always have access to you, meaning your body, because they're not really interested in you. And it's usually not their first time creating that situation. Okay? Be very realistic and practical about some things. There's an article by a pioneer of groups of people who used to come together from a communal stance. And one of her blogs was about how the condom is a barrier to intimacy. And there was this goofball husband that liked sleeping with other women and to do it without guilt. He just told his wife that he believed in these particular principles. And on top of that, he wrote about and quoted the author about, see, you shouldn't be using condoms when you're having sex. And the woman who was very distraught wrote her and said, hey, how could you be promoting such a thing? My husband is using that to go out and be with people. Now, in reality, we know people do what they want to do.
That's right.
So, he told you that to get over.
Mm-hmm.
But she wrote her back and she told her, what he told you was not the truth, and it was, uh, connotation was taken out of place. Because let's look at it from that bigger altruistic scale people like to put themselves on. What sense does it really make in the world we live in for me to say, I don't trust you, so I'm going to put on a condom, but then I'm going to sexually engage with you, sharing that energy and any other things that, even though we got the condom on, we still saliva, sweat, this and that. I mean, the condom is going to save you. Now, in our community, there is a third world rate of HIV that people are at risk of. The masters that designed such a dastardly biological weapon knew that, and people who read the metaphysical code book will see that it says in there, oh, I'm going to get at them because I'm going to come right through their natural. I'm paraphrasing it.
Right.
But bottom line is, there's something transmitted through people contact. How dastardly could you be? So, yes, there are some other parameters that tie in with that. You know, we're not going to get into the whole abortion debate and all that other stuff.
Right.
We're not going to get into the debate about what went down as far as, that whole pregnancy, whose responsibility it is. What we can say is everybody's responsible. We have families with madness of, oh, I'm going to throw you out in the street, to I'm going to take the baby for my own, all kinds of stuff. So that's a sadness when we have to deal that way with one another. Because from our cultural perspective, remember Diop's two cradles of civilization, uh, children go through the mother and through the mother's line. The mother's taken care of, so the children will be taken care of. There's no such thing as an unwanted pregnancy or unwanted children because we don't operate that way. Everybody eats where we at, but everybody knows they have stuff to do as well. So we can't be going out and being irresponsible. So that's my question with that, and how all that ties in with your sexual health and wellness. I heard the minister say this years ago, man, way back in the 90s, and he said, having these babies back to back, these multiple children, it changes a woman. It changes a woman.
I'm sure it does.
Works on her emotionally, physiologically, biologically. Okay? So, I'm talking about stressors. Alright? And a lot of men, especially if they're from a different generation bracket, don't see it that way. And it's unfortunate. So we have to get to a place of our wholeness when we can do that. This angst and yearning isn't going on, and then you can get together and enjoy each other. And they can educate themselves on how they can either use like the rhythm method,
right,
or there's other things they can grab and use to stop these kind of shenanigans going on between the male and the female of, oh, I'm pregnant, oh no, I'm not pregnant. Just have to get that. We have to get to a real comfortable space and being honest about our desires and honest about what we're capable of and prepared for. And that comes through understanding what your goals are for your sexual health and wellness, and what's in the best interest of all parties concerned. And as I said just a few moments before, you have to have these conversations. It is not, or what do they call it? These are deal breakers.
right.
If we're not having these conversations, we're not doing it. Period. Period. And if you feel like the person's a creep or something else, just make sure you got a couple of big guys that don't mind handling some business with you. And say, you gotta go. Give you one last chance. Because sometimes it goes there. But your sexual health and wellness will keep you confident, keep your energy flowing, and who knows? Maybe you'll increase that.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right.